Cracker, the movie.
We're going to kill a policeman.
On the trail of serial killers. Facing personal problems.
I promise I'll never gamble again, dear.
It's platonic.
Don't tell him anything he doesn't need to know.
They'll kill again. We don't know that. I know that.
He's got a volatile personality.
He's going to kill her.
Robbie Coltrane.
I used this and I was right.
A complete story, Cracker the movie, Saturday, 9:05.
Next, the latest news from the southeast with Anna Maria Ash in London Tonight.
The Cranberries, no need to argue, the best-selling album.
How will you pick your lucky national lottery numbers this week?
7. Was that 7 or 11?
7.
It's you.
It could be you.
Buy the Times this Saturday and get the Sunday Times, Britain's leading quality Sunday paper, for half price. That's value you can't afford to be without.
When you're sailing to the continent, choose the company with the biggest name.
Hey, I wonder where the boys are taking us tonight.
I feel like a dance. Does my hair look all right?
Forget about your hair. What about your onion breath?
Oh, no problem. I've got some double mint.
After you eat, chew double mint gum. Double mint, double fresh, for that moment of double freshness, just when you need it.
Double mint refreshes your breath naturally.
One, the brilliant new single from Misha Paris, out now.
At Texas now till Bank Holiday Monday, our best buys. Specials right across the store. Like 20% off selected Black & Decker power tools. All this bedroom furniture for just £100. £10 back by mail with this Spalcast mower and safety plug. And add 6 litres of new Texas paint for the price of 5. Best buys for every project around your home now.
Best buys of Texas.
Summertime is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme.
Only men's minds could ever have mapped into abstraction such a territory.
Will you go? I say go.
This is one of my favourite recipes. It takes me back to my school days. Then I did everything to avoid the cane, but now I'm the one using it. This one, that is. I use sugar from sugarcane in all my recipes, like the one on the back of this pack. Another thing I learnt at school is that not all sugar is made from sugarcane. In fact, Tate and Lyle are Britain's only cane sugar refiners. So give the recipes a try and write out 100 times, smile, it's Tate and Lyle.
Dance Mania is back with the massive #1 Wiggle Wiggle. Dance Mania 2, go get it.
These two teenage girls have been caught playing truant.
Can I just tell you, girls, that the only people that can give you permission to either be off school for part of the day or all of the days of school.
They're part of a growing army of children skipping school every day in London.
Well, the education anyway, it's a load of rubbish. The curriculum and that, so it don't help you.
New research for the London programme reveals the full extent of the capital's truancy crisis. That's the London programme Sunday at 5:10.
You're watching LWT.
Hello, good evening. I'm Anna Maria Ash. This is London Tonight.
First, a dramatic conclusion to the Marchioness disaster inquest. Surprise verdicts of unlawful killing were passed. It ends a 5-year-long campaign for relatives seeking justice. The weeks of evidence ended with their tears of relief. This report from Lindsay Charlton.
Vindication at last after a campaign which began almost the day the Marchioness sank. A verdict of unlawful killing. It left the families jubilant.
We're at least very, very pleased about it, to say the least. So the 5.5 years of our struggle has been well worth it.
The lookout was not a lookout at all. He was really there to pull up an anchor and coil ropes. He had no training, no instructions, and he was expected to communicate with the captain on the wheel by shouting. There was a history of collisions. It was known that this was going to happen.
The Marchioness sank in August 1989 after it was rammed by the dredger Bow Bell. 51 people died, but there was never a public inquiry. In the past 4 weeks, the inquest has revealed startling new information, including the fact that the Bow Bell skipper Douglas Henderson had been on a pub crawl 7 hours before the accident took place. Statements that 3 members of the Bow Bell's crew admitted they'd been drinking goes to the very heart of the inquest evidence, and it's this that has caused the relatives most anger.
We would also like to invite the present Director of Public Prosecutions, Mrs. Barbara Mills, to explain to us why the fact that they had admitted drinking large quantities of alcohol in their statements to the police on the 20th of August was suppressed and kept out of the prosecution against Captain Henderson.
But what does unlawful killing mean now? It means that a crime was committed that night, the crime of manslaughter. Those 51 people died as a result of a criminal offence.
Does that mean now that prosecutions could take place?
It certainly does. The DPP, Director of Public Prosecutions, can reconsider her decisions to prosecute both individuals and companies.
The jury retired at 12:30 and returned 4.5 hours later. They also made a series of recommendations which they believe may prevent such a disaster ever happening again. In Hammersmith, this is Lindsay Charlton for London Tonight.
Chelsea fans have returned from Spain blaming a hard core for violence. Fans broke up seating in Chelsea's game with Real Zaragoza. They say a violent minority was responsible. Chelsea already faces an FA charge for trouble in a tie with Millwall. It's now asking for the Spanish club's help to avoid expulsion from the European Cup Winners' Cup.
It was very interesting that the president of Zaragoza said to me, "We'd like to compliment you on the impeccable behaviour of your official fans."
A southeast hospital hit by scandal is back in the headlines tonight. Queen Mary's Hospital at Sidcup sent Tony George home with painkillers for a migraine. He later died of a brain hemorrhage. It emerged a doctor at the same hospital left swabs inside a patient. And a man suffering head injuries was refused treatment at the hospital. He died later after being transferred to Leeds. Freddie Starr's gardener has been jailed for 15 months for stealing jewellery from the comedian. Robin Coxhead was found guilty at a trial last month. Reading Crown Court heard gems worth over £40,000 were taken from Starr's former home in Berkshire. A man who collected tin cans to pay his debts has lost a court battle to save his home. James Pitherney faces eviction over his mortgage arrears. He'd collected 250,000 cans at his home in North London, which he must leave in 28 days. A new theatre show has been given a little extra authenticity with help from the Jubilee Line extension. While the capital's motorists curse the construction work for delays, a theatre company says it's a blessing. Vince Rogers explains.
If you're putting on a stage play about Indian troops partly set in the trenches during the First World War, the one thing you need is mud, and plenty of it. In fact, the Theatre Royal Stratford East needed 8 tons of the stuff. But where from? Suddenly, the answer came to them. The London Underground Jubilee Line extension.
There is a lot of mud. I think it's a great effect for the contrast of it for the show. I think it really reflects on the First World War. When pictures come alive in your head and you actually see it on stage, it's great.
But the mud is only on loan because it has to be disposed of properly. So when they've finished, they have to give it back.
So when we finish the run, we have to find some means of scraping it off the set, putting it back into a lorry, and what they're going to do with it, I've no idea, but we do have to give it back.
In Stratford, this is Vince Rogers for London Tonight.
Finally, the main news headline tonight, Nick Ingram will die in just over an hour. The British killer was due to be executed in a US jail at midnight. A 72-hour reprieve earlier in the evening has now been overturned. He's being prepared for the electric chair once again. And that's our news. We'll be back at 1:05 lunchtime. Do join us again. Bye-bye.
Got a problem? Helping You on LWT 600 Plus may be able to assist. Look it up on page 650.
Next on LWT, another selection of interesting ways to get wet.
If you have old tins of paint you want to get rid of, drop them in at Do It All. And for each one, we'll give £1 off each new tin of paint you buy.
For car insurance that could save you up to £50 and will help sort out your claim as quickly as possible, call Guardian Direct free on 0800 282820. Guardian Direct.
When you're sailing to the continent, choose the company with the biggest name.
Inside today's PCs, you'll find something pretty amazing. The Intel Pentium processor. It gives PC software more life, more action, more energy. So if you want your PC software to really move, make sure your PC has the Intel Pentium processor.
Too much. 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 Is that too much? Much.
Much. Is it true that when you are naked, you feel at your most vulnerable? Necessarily. The 9000 from Saab. Pure driving pleasure.
She ain't no witch, and I love the way she treats you. Well, she ain't no witch, and I love the way she treats you. I'm a too pretty prince, and I give her heart love. La 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 la. La la la.
You're watching LWT at 11:35 tomorrow night. Music and chat in Tarbuck Late. Tonight's chat and music from James Whale. But first, get wet.